Good evening once again, ladies and gentlemen. It is Wednesday night. It is Wednesday night lighting chat, and I have got my good friend Nick with me tonight. Good evening, Nick.
Good evening, John. How's it going today?
It is going well, going well. We're back, we're home, and we've got some really cool stuff to talk about tonight.
Yeah, we do.
Now, for those of you who have watched some of our shows, we've talked about some of the cool lights for wedding DJs and cool lights for all different applications. Tonight, I wanted Nick to kind of talk to us a little bit about, if I'm just getting started. It's like, Nick, give us a couple of ideas for lighting. And as you guys have known, if you've watched Nick, he's the man to give you that information. So, Nick, let's just jump into it now. For guys just getting started, give us some options.
Well, and it's Christmas time, so a lot of people are thinking, let's get a system for my kid to start out DJing. Let's get, I just bought a mixer and I want some lights to go along with it or something. And so a lot of the time you can buy a specific light and maybe it won't be the exact effect that you're looking for, or maybe it's not exact. You don't know which way you want to go. Do you want lasers? Do you want, derby effects, quintas, swarms? There's all kinds of different things you can go. So the way that I like to go right in the beginning to start out would be the Swarm 5 effects. Cool. Okay. So this is the Swarm 5 effects in the picture here. And it's actually a combo light where it has a derby effect that has RGB, A, and W. So you've got red, green, blue, amber, and white. And then you also have a strobe ring of 8 strobe lights to do some cool patterns and stuff like that. And then you also have a laser in the center that allows you to project some patterns out. So you kind of get an all-in-one thing with this light. And it's a very affordable. It's a great place to start. And that way you can really, you can kind of figure out where you want to go. There's some people, they may lean more towards the effect lights. They may lean more towards the PARs. This one has the laser, the strobe, and the effects. So now the nice thing about this is that eventually, if you do decide to graduate to better stuff, you can still use this light because it has, of course, DMX control. So you can control it with your system down the line.
So Nick, what's the kind of the map pricing on that fixture?
That one is $219 map. So it's very affordable. It's under $300. You can really get it. You can get it, and it'll be a very good effect for multi-purpose type things. But it's not going to really break the bank too much.
Now to control it, you mentioned DMX. As now, if a person had 2 of those, is something you can link them together and you could have like one on each side?
Absolutely, you can take Yeah, absolutely. You can take a DMX cable, which is just a 3-pin cable that's specifically made for DMX, that can go from one to the other, and they'll actually do a show together. That's what we call master-slave. So that'll actually connect the two together, and they'll work together and do a really cool show. The nice thing about that is there's a lot of people out there that like to use sound mode, and sound mode's a really easy way that you can control your fixtures without having to do a whole lot of work. So the sound mode in there will come off of one of the mics as opposed to 2 of them. So if you have the one set to a specific sound level, of course there's a little knob on the back of the Swarm 5 effects that you can actually adjust it to be the perfect level where you have it set, and then they will respond together in line with that sound mode. So they'll look like you're controlling it, but in reality you don't have to do a whole lot of work at all.
Nice. So,
and we try and throw things in like that for most of our fixtures. That way you guys can get make yourself look really good without having to do a whole heck of a lot of work.
Yep.
So if you do decide to graduate to DMX, though, that thing has a lot of controls and a lot of options that you can access. And, of course, you can trigger and control all the different parts of the light itself from the display or from DMX.
Sure.
Very cool stuff.
Now, does it matter if it's mounted up in a tree, or I've seen, when I first started out, I would set lights, good or bad, on a table and kind of shine them up. Would it work either way?
Yeah, I mean, it just depends on what you want to do with the room. This is kind of where you can be a beginner lighting designer. You can decide what effect or how you want the people to see the light and how it will affect them. So a lot of the times what I would like to do is sometimes you take effect lights and you point them right down into the crowd. You blast the crowd with the light and you give them, make them feel like they're immersed in the light and in the experience. I've had a couple of instances where I actually like to take the lights and point them up to the ceiling. So that'll give kind of like a dots effect, kind of moving around on the ceiling. You can make it very slow, kind of give it a nice calm ambiance, or you can make it very fast. You can have a slow and a fast in whatever software you decide to use. In Show Express, you can actually control the speed right in one of the buttons that's in little faders or whatever. And you can actually make the fader slow and fast. So you can kind of pulse the slow and fast to the music, and it'll bring it in time with whatever you're doing if you have a second to kind of creep away while you're DJing.
Sure.
So there's a lot of different options you can do. With a laser in it, you can do that same kind of field effect up in the ceiling, and it look really, really cool. Now with the strobe, you got to remember, is very, very bright, and so you want to either hit the crowd with it, or you want to hit something that's like white, or something that will reflect the light and make it work. So it just depends. It really depends on the event and what kind of look and feel you're going for. But the Swarm 5 effects can meet pretty much any demand when it comes to that.
Nice. And as far as coverage now, if I were talking an area, say, of like maybe half of a gymnasium, like a volleyball court, will the beams reach across a volleyball court size area?
They'll stretch that far, and of course, because it has a laser in there, it's going to go a lot farther. Lasers generally travel a lot farther because of the way that lasers work. They're very focused. But this has a spread field effect. It's got a big burst of lasers going out. It's got a big burst of effect, moving colors and stuff like that. And of course, it's got 8 strobe lights in it, 8 little mini strobe lights in it. So you're talking about a lot of light that can be thrown out into that place. Now, for a dance floor or an area the size of like a volleyball court, I would probably use 2 of them.
Okay.
Just because then you're going to be able to really fill the space out and make people feel like, get them lost in the event. And that's the idea.
Yeah. Very nice.
So. Yeah. Now, I mean, one of the big things, one of the big, suggestions that we got from people is that they want to be able to move the effects around, like we've been talking about, but they want to move them around separately. So we kind of devised a way to make that a reality. That's what we do at Strobe. We try and take your, market feedback and everything that you guys say and kind of anticipate what you guys want. Yeah. And we came up with a very, very cool light that was actually released at LDI, which I know you and I have talked about quite a bit. But it is actually here in my living room.
So we're graduating now. We graduated from one light. Now, say if you wanted to go just a step above, now this is the next step.
This is the next step. So I'm gonna go mobile camera here for a second. Hold on. All right. So here is the gig bar. Now we call it that because it is great for any gig. And I do mean any gig. If you're a musician, if you're a DJ, any gig. So there is the gig bar right there. This is actually our multi-source effect light. It's a big effect light, but it's more than just an effect light. It's got a derby, a par, another derby right here.
There you go. Yep.
And yeah, I'm not looking where I'm pointing, so
you're doing well so far.
Yeah. So we've got 4 strobes, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and of course a laser on top. Sure. Now, remember we were talking about possibly pointing the laser up to the ceiling and making kind of pattern effects. The same thing with the effect lights as well.
Yes.
Well, this laser actually has a really cool little yoke on it, so you can turn it and move it around and angle it whatever direction you'd like.
Oh, nice.
Now, the really cool thing is all of these units actually have the ability to be moved. If you see, we've got our derby here. We can move it in any direction we want. We can spin it around. We can change, point it backwards, point it forwards. The only thing you want to remember with this one is the strobes themselves can't actually move. They stay right where they are. They're actually mounted in the bar. Okay. So those are the things you generally want to plan on where you want to point them. Whereas the pars and the derbies can be pointed anywhere you want.
Right.
So if you have like a band or something that you're trying to light, you can actually take that and point the pars backwards towards the band, and then the derbies forward towards the crowd. So you can kind of split the effects up. Mm-hmm. I'm going to fire this sucker up here for just a second. We have obviously a lot of effects up here, so let's kind of turn them on and show you what they look like. So the really cool thing is this, and we were talking about control with the Swarm 5 effects before. This one is even more flexible. It's as complicated or as simple as you want it to be. So it seriously is, though. It's you have the option of your standard IRC6 remote, which you can control the entire unit with, or you can control it with the included wireless foot switch. Now you see we've got this nifty little antenna right here.
There we go.
That pops out. Mm-hmm. Yep. And that will actually, the foot switch itself also has an antenna on it. And so you can control it wirelessly from a foot switch. And the cool thing, if you take 2 of these and you set them up on stage, you can use one foot switch and it'll control both of them.
Without connecting wires.
Without cables or anything. Yep. Correct.
Wow.
Really nice and easy.
Before you go too far, what kind of a range are you going to get with that foot switch?
Pretty decent. It's about 100 and I think it's like 300 feet or something like that. It's pretty good distance. It's way more than I think you'd ever need with that thing. You know what I mean? I actually joked with a guy at LDI about it, that if you really wanted to, you could technically give the lighting designer the foot switch and put it underneath his desk and he could hit it. But, then he's probably using DMX. He's probably not, So I'm going to sit back down here so we can see the whole picture here. All right. So far above my head is a gig bar. So there's the gig bar itself. So now with this IRC 6 remote, because I'm going to control it that way, it's a little bit easier.
Yeah.
Forgot to mention. So it does have DMX, and you can actually control it very simply with 3 channels of DMX. That's it. So you can get some auto programs and sound mode and strobe. Very simple, very easy, keeping it nice and easy. Mm-hmm. There's also a 9-channel DMX where you can control color across these 4 lights, and then you have laser and strobe control. So it kind of breaks it up into sections. Okay. So you get color control across here, and then you get strobes and laser control. Now, if you are the advanced programmer and you want to make this thing into a huge, awesome light show, you've got individual control of each part of this entire light. Strobes, laser, derby, par, derby. So you can change it around and control it all the way you want. If you want to have one derby doing green and then one derby doing blue, it's all there for you. It's ready to go. So once you're ready to graduate to that level and control everything independently, it's ready for you. So You've already invested the money, and now it's ready for you to go even further and learn more about the lighting technology that you have. So we're going to keep it simple tonight. I'm not controlling it on DMX because it's just not something. It's so easy to control from the IRC anyway. So
yeah.
So I'm going to go ahead and turn this bad boy on. I bet you I have it set to an auto program. Yep, there it goes. Lights right up. So right now it's set to like an auto mode. This is a par and strobe and laser auto mode.
Okay.
So lots of craziness going on here. Whatever. This is whatever I last had it set to. So I'm going to go ahead and change it here to just a par mode. So it's just the pars right now. That's all it's playing.
And what kind of LEDs are in the pars?
So those are tricolor LEDs. There's 3 in each of them, and they're 4 watts each. So they're very bright. They're similar to like our wedge tris or like the same kind of thing that's in our hex 3s, mm-hmm. but obviously they're not hex, they're tri. They're 3 colors, so RGB. Mm-hmm. We spent a little bit of time and improved the lensing on this one though, because one of the things that we found is that with the tricolors, there's a little bit of a color mixing. It doesn't quite get perfect.
Yeah.
We redesigned the lens for this, and it came out a lot better. The color mixing on these is much, much better than it has been in the past. Mm-hmm. Now, granted, the power is the same, the LED power is the same, but it's the lens. And I know that we've talked a lot about on this show about how it's not just about the LED, it's about the lens. So this is a perfect example of that. It's all about the lens.
Yeah.
No power. So yeah, that was a song reference.
Yeah.
So we've got a couple of different other options from the IRC6, and as you can see on this bad boy, there's 9 buttons.
Yeah.
And each of those buttons is going to do something different with it and give you a little bit more control over each of them. So right now I'm on number 1. Number 2 just gives you a little bit different power program.
Okay.
However, you can switch to number 3. And you'll get your derbies. Your derbies are moving around and making some cool stuff. And I haven't spread around my room right now. But, in this circumstance, we can't really see them very well. So I'm going to go ahead and flip these bad boys around so we can see what's going on back here.
Oh, there you go.
Now you can see one moving around the back wall there.
Yep.
Now, the cool thing about the IRC6 is if you don't like the speed that it's at, you can actually raise the speed with these cool little plus and minus signs. So they'll actually raise the speed up, so they'll start moving around a lot faster. I mean, you can even I'm really hammering the button down, but you can see now it's going like crazy.
Yeah.
So you can change and adjust the speed down in levels, and it will actually slow it down or speed it up based on how you want to do it. And this will stay constant with any of the programs. So if you're you've got a certain speed that you're at with the venue, and you want to change and turn on your pars, the pars program too will stay at that same speed. So you see it's still very slow. Now I can speed it up, and we've got it going real fast here, you see?
Oh, yeah.
Really fast. And then we'll do it like, let's say we like that speed. Then I switch to the derbies, and it's still going at a pretty good same kind of speed. So that speed stays constant all the way across the board as you go. So
interesting, yeah.
And then we talked about the laser, which is program number 4. Right now it's pointing at me, so I'm going to go ahead and flip it and turn it around so you can see it up on the wall back there.
Yeah, it looked like you're
it's fairly
getting red and green in there. Yes,
red and green, correct? Yep. And now we stuck with the standard dots pattern because we feel like a lot of people really like the dots pattern. I'm going to turn off the light here just because it's nicer in the dark. So you can see we got a nice red and green dots pattern. And you can move it around based on where you want to put it, and that way you'll be able to put it in a specific spot that you like.
Yeah.
You put it on the ceiling, you can put it on the floor, whatever you want to do. So it gives you a lot of options.
Nick, how far is that laser from your ceiling when you had it just a second ago? Is that about a 3-foot distance?
This guy, yeah, that's about, no, it's less. Yeah, I'd say maximum 3 feet to this like little corner here.
Yeah,
it's like 3 feet. So it's a little. It's we're not obviously I'm not in a massive room here, but I can tell you, having seen this thing in larger rooms, this laser is a very, very good laser. It's actually a little bit more powerful than our current Min laser. So if you're used to the Min laser, you'll know this one. You'll know that it works great.
And yeah, the Min lasers are fabulous for getting that ceiling coverage.
Exactly. So. And of course, we don't want to forget the really awesome strobes as well. So the strobe program is built in right here, so you get all kinds of fun stuff in it. Of course, this one, because it's the IRC6 remote, you actually are able to add an auto program that has a little bit of everything rolling and going. Now, if you go from the standard PAR program and you want it to strobe, you can actually add the strobes in by just tapping the strobe button.
Cool.
So if you don't want to have to change all this stuff and go, and have everything else running, you can go right from your current PAR program and add the strobe in and add it out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's very, very easy to just change it. Like, let's say you're set to just the laser being on. Sorry, I gotta actually point it at the IRC. Eek. Sorry, I'm moving this thing. I gotta move this head because it's blocking my. I moved it up when I walked by it, and it blocked the IRC receiver.
Sure.
Now, one of the things we did add to this guy was the actual IRC remote receiver that is the like in the front. It's like a little window that you hit with the IR remote. We actually put 2 of them on there, one in the back, one in the front.
Oh, nice.
That way you'll be able to adjust it and control it from either direction, from back and front. So you'll have the option to control it in any way you want. And of course, we have auto and sound mode all triggerable from the IRC6 remote. And all these same functions are all accessible from the wireless foot switch, from DMX, everything. You can even control it from the back of the unit with the display. It's really easy to do. So if you lose it, no big deal.
You can still function.
Yep, exactly. So, I mean, it's a little bit harder to trigger when you're sitting playing an instrument if you have to reach up and hit the buttons, but,
it can be done.
It can be done. I always carry 2 of these, so just in case you lose one, you're good. It might be a good idea. They're not really all that expensive. So, but yeah, so that's the gig bar. There's a lot of I almost forgot. One of the other things that we did with this guy, which we've talked to a lot of people, and they wanted a really sturdy stand. This guy right here, they wanted to make sure that the stand was really rugged and really strong. And with this one, we killed it. It really, really is strong. It's a there's a lot of weight up here. It's not actually as much as you'd think, but there's enough that we really wanted to have a beefy stand so that when you're sitting on the stage and you're rocking out or DJing, you're jumping, whatever, you don't want it to be just shaking back and forth and feeling really rickety.
Yeah.
So with this guy, we really built it. It's very strong, and we didn't really want to pinch any pennies with this one. It's a very, very nice sturdy stand. To be honest, I would put this together with a lot of my other normal stands, like my CHO2, and take it out with the gear because it is that sturdy and that strong. So very, very cool stuff. And of course, if you don't want to use the stand, it does come with some really nice little legs. Those are actually I installed them here for this, but they're not really. They don't come installed. They're actually in a bag in the box when you get it.
Sure.
And you can actually mount that on truss. You can mount it up on a T-bar or whatever you want to do.
Sure.
Very easy to do that. So
back to the stand. How tall? What's the operating height of that stand approximately?
Pretty sure the maximum height on that is about 8 or 9 feet, something like that. It gets up there.
Nice.
It's just a single stage stand, so it doesn't have a secondary stage like our CHO2 does.
Yeah.
That CHO2 stand will allow you to get to 12 to 15 feet with that second stage, whereas this is just a single stage. So
then, Nick, one of the things I love with strobe lights is I like to basically have those all, say if you're playing Metallica or something like, well, of course, maybe I just aged myself a little bit. But, when we're playing something and all of a sudden, all the lights come down and then you can make the strobes hammer. I noticed they were chasing. Now, can you actually have all 4 of them go at the same time and do that kind of a banging like that?
Absolutely. You can do that all through DMX. So you can control the strobe programs individually through DMX, and you can also do some cool patterns. You can do them all on at once like you're looking for. You can have them on as static as a nice crowd wash or crowd blinder effect almost. It just depends on what you want to do, and it's all available with DMX. And that's where we were talking before about the getting really good at programming. Once you start to get better at it, this thing is ready for you. So it has the features that you need.
You mentioned all on as a crowd wash. Is it dimmable?
It is absolutely dimmable.
Sweet.
Yep. The PARs themselves are dimmable. The effect lights are dimmable. The laser is not dimmable, but the strobe is definitely dimmable.
We like strobe because there's times when I'm at weddings and I like to just bring the lights up a little bit more because Grandma can't see too well and she needs a little extra light.
Yeah, fair enough.
Cool.
Yeah, this is definitely a grandma-ready light if need be.
Okay, the truth is I can't see that well. But anyway, we're going to go. Transporting. You've got a lot of cool stuff there and a lot of pieces that are kind of up and down and around. How can a guy transport that safely?
Well, okay, so it comes with an included hard case for the actual light itself, and that will fit the whole thing in there, obviously without these little stand things. But it'll fit the entire unit in there. And you can also, on the outside of it, has a pocket for cables and for the foot switch, IRC remote, all that stuff. Nice. And then the stand itself also comes with its own carry bag. So you can literally walk into a venue, 2 hands full, and you're ready to go with this light.
Wow.
So it's an awesome package. It really is.
Very nice. And, of course, that's on the website at StrobeDJ.com. They can check it out and find out more information.
Absolutely. And it is out there now. It's flying off the shelves, so get yours now.
Yeah,
it's we've had a lot of really great people talking about how awesome this thing is, and you can see it all over the place. People are really digging it. So,
So Nick, this is our last show for 2014, and we've covered a lot of ground this year. Mm-hmm. Great stuff, but truthfully, I'm really kind of looking forward to maybe doing one early January because NAMM is just around
the corner.
It is.
Yeah, it really is. You know what? I think we can go ahead and release a couple of lights here. We'll get a couple together the first or second week of January, and we'll let you guys see them first. And I just one thing I like about debuting lights here is that we can get some great comments from people and see what they have to say about them and what you think. So that's. That'd be great. I'd love to.
Yeah, let's plan for that. Well, Nick, thank you very much for giving us some pointers and ideas for those who are just starting out and wanting to get kind of a cool little light show to get themselves up and running.
Yeah, thank you, John. It's been a good time.
Good stuff. If you have any questions, you can put your questions in the comments down below. If you have any thoughts, whatever, put them down there. Otherwise, you can pop out on the Facebook pages and put some questions, send messages to us. Nick's easy to find. I'm easy to find. And if we like your questions, we might be able to use them in a show and answer some of them there. Once again, Nick,
there you go.
Thank you much for your time tonight, and we will see you in January. This is John Young with the Disc Jockey News and Disc Jockey News TV. Good night.